Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for July 22nd through 28th. This week I read 4 books, I watched 1 show, and I listened to 3 books. First this week I finished Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is a young adult contemporary told in poems about a boy whose brother was recently killed in a shooting and the cycle of violence that led to it. As the protagonist leaves his apartment to seek revenge, his elevator stops on every floor, admitting a ghost. The premise and format of this book was refreshing, fast-paced, and heartbreaking. With very few words, Reynolds puts us right in the middle of this violent world, giving us all the backstory to understand the choice the protagonist is making, and how it feels like a given due to toxic masculine tradition. It is a quick but very powerful read. Next I read Brightly Burning by Alexa Dunn. I picked this one up because I'm going to BookNet Fest in just over a month and this author will be there, and it turns out that even though I've never read Jane Eyre, I really like Jane Eyre retellings, and this is Jane Eyre in space. The protagonist, Stella, works as an engineer on one of the lower class ships before she's sent to be a governess on a luxury ship orbiting the moon. I really enjoyed this. The world building was rich, the characters seemed fleshed out, and it was fun to see a mixture of people living in space and Regency era clothing. Stella's ambitions and friendships really move the plot along, and I'm very excited for the next book by this author, The Stars We Steal, which is loosely based on Jane Austen's Persuasion, mixed with The Bachelor, set in space about 40 years before this book. Considering I can rarely bring myself to care about classics, I find it very amusing how much I like retellings. Next I read A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. This is a book about a woman whose family was at the center of a reality TV show when she was a child. The show was called The Possession because it was believed that her older sister was in fact possessed. She constantly cried about the ghosts in her head and did some downright creepy things to and around her little sister. This book jumps back and forth from the present, where 23-year-old Mary is working with a woman who is writing a book about her, and when she was 8 years old and her family was struggling with financial security and her sister's illness. To give context, sections of the book are introduced by blog posts of a fan reviewing the show 15 years on. To be clear, the show only had 1 season 15 years ago. There were a ton of horror genre head nods in this book, with specific scenes from films being recreated in the TV show. If you want a horror novel that draws on classics of the genre, this is a book to pick up. The last physical book I read this week was Alana the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce. I picked this up because on National Tattoo Day I found out that a friend of mine has this character tattooed on them, and I forwarded it to my best friend because I know that she used to read this author, and when she found out that I had never read it, she asked that I do so immediately. This book is about a girl, Alana, who is being sent away from her home to become a lady, and her twin, Tom, who is being sent away from home to become a knight. Neither of them is thrilled about this, and they switch places, and Alana is disguised as a boy to go become a knight, and Tom goes off to learn about the magic that they both share. This is the first of a quartet and covers 3 or 4 years of Alana, or Alan as her friends know her, training to be a knight. This world was intriguing and I want to read the rest of the quartet, and I'm told there are other series and they all interconnect, so now I have a whole new universe to burrow into. I talked my best friend into doing a buddy read book review of this book, so look for that in the next month or so. Meaning you finally get to meet her. This week on Survivor we watched most of the latter half of season 6. I think it goes without saying, but this season, like most seasons, is way better than season 5. Rob is growing on me, and my roommate listens to his Survivor podcast quite often. So I guess he grows up from the awkward, horny dude to somebody you would actually want to listen to for an hour at a time. This week I listened to We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This is another horror novel, and I picked it up because of a recent recommendation video, which I will try to link in places, and it's also how I found A Head Full of Ghosts. This one is much older, having been originally published in 1962, and centers around 2 sisters living in a large house on the edge of town where everyone hates them. Strangely, this book shared a major plot twist with A Head Full of Ghosts, which I'm obviously not going to discuss here because spoilers. I think listening to this one made it that much creepier because the narrator was really good at giving creepy, unsettling, yet realistic voices to the townspeople. Next I listened to Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Justice McAllister is a scholarship student at a mostly white school and then is the victim of police brutality and profiling. His white peers seem to think there's equality between races, but he's seen firsthand that no matter how much he achieves academically, he's still judged on the color of his skin. He starts a project where he writes letters to Martin Luther King Jr. and tries to be more like Martin. This book is short and powerful, and about halfway through I had to hold in tears while I was listening to it at the bus stop. If audiobooks are an option for you, I highly suggest listening to this book because Dion Graham's voice acting is outstanding. It is incredibly nuanced and emotional. This book discusses race, privilege, and the justice system in a way that needs to be recognized, especially in an era where privileged people think that there is equality. The last book I listened to this week was The Truth is a Cave in the Black Mountains by Neil Gaiman. This is a short adventure tale, and what makes this production interesting is it's read by the author and has original music backing the mood of the tale. If you're a fan of Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology, you will enjoy this short story, which originally appeared in an anthology called Stories, All New Tales. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye! The protagonist, Stella, works as an engineer on one of the lower class ships before she's sent to be a governess on a luxury ship orbiting the moon. What is going on with my voice? What is this? Why?